Hello, and welcome to another episode of A Few Minutes with Marvin. I inspire those who aspire to make positive changes in their lives. And I'd like to start off this video with a quote, and it is, "Thinking is the hardest work there is," which is probably the reason so few engage in it. And that was said by Henry Ford. What is critical thinking? And are you really engaged in it? Especially now. We've been giving a very unique opportunity in 2020 with this pandemic to stop our lives and to start thinking for ourselves. It was an opportunity for the earth to regrow. I don't know if you noticed it, but rivers became clearer and trees, grew larger. Um, Mother Nature took her power back, and it proved to us that we don't need anybody to tell us that there is climate change or anything like that, because just like us, the earth is capable of healing itself. And 2020 gave her the opportunity to do so by lowering emissions and all the waste and all the plastics and all the chemicals that had been used in the past stopped for that period of time, because we weren't going out as much in our vehicles, and just less emissions, things like that. So that was her showing us that if we continue to live our lives like that, not in isolation, but conscious, critically thinking about what is good for us. Is it the plastics? Is it the non-recyclable materials that we're using? Is it the food that's being chemically grown? No. Mother Nature has all the resources you need, very abundant. And with a little effort on all of our parts, we can help her regrow, because there is no overpopulation. There's enough food and land all around the world for human beings to live beautifully in unity and harmony, not in separation. Because if you have been glued to the television watching CNN and ABC and cable TV and Netflix, then you're missing out on the point of 2020. This pandemic helped Mother Nature grow back and take back her land. And we can still be a part of that. We can perpetuate it, because that's what it was meant to be. I know that we've been ingrained to know that capitalism is great, and the more that they invent, the more we have to buy, and better phones and stuff like that. We don't really need those things. We just don't. We've been indoctrinated, for lack of a better word, through our schooling, through our not just our education system, but our healthcare system and our banking systems and our political systems and our religious systems. Think of the word systems. They're there for a reason, because they are systems. And television is programming. They want you to stay tuned. We are beings of frequency. Look it up. I'm not making this up. There's a lot of data out there saying that we are tuned. We are frequency. And if they want us to stay tuned to a certain frequency, that's a frequency that they can control. Now, 2020 gave us an opportunity to go within ourselves and learn that we are higher beings of divine frequency. So we can get past those frequencies and start critically thinking for ourselves, choosing what is best for us. I don't believe that getting something that's made in a laboratory injected into my body is good for me, because I've critically thought about it. And not only that, I've done the research and I know what's in there. And I know that although I don't listen to mainstream media, I know that what's being projected out there is not what's being really what's true to me, because If you go to the CDC website and the WHO website, what they're saying via the news media is not what's in the website. The truth is in the website, but they feel that you're not smart enough, or that we're all lazy and we won't do the work, because they're telling us the truth on the website. But what they're projecting out is a narrative. It's that frequency of fear. Fear is a frequency. Judgment is a frequency. Separation is a frequency. Racism is a frequency. Doubt is a frequency. Worry is a frequency. Judgment is a frequency. And those are not good frequencies. They don't want to project love. So you see everything on the news and in social media. It's bad, right? Because bad keeps us in low vibrations, and that's this frequency that they want us to stay tuned to so that they can control us. You may not believe this, but there are things that have been slowly integrated into society that were meant to control us. And what's in those jabs, for lack of a better word, are some of them. It's a key part of it. And 5G is a key part of it. Again, we were indoctrinated to believe that I'm a conspiracy theorist for thinking this way. No, I'm a critical thinker for thinking this way, because now I saw another quote that's perfect. Governments don't want a population capable of critical thinking. They want obedient workers, people just smart enough to run machines and just dumb enough to personally or to passively accept their situation. And that was George Carlin. He was a comedian, and he knew this back then when he was doing his comedy. And his comedy was very thought-provoking, because he was a critical thinker, and he was trying to get us to critically think that, and it's not just the governments, it's the pharmaceutical companies, it's the big tech companies, it's the news outlets, because if you do your research, and I encourage you to do so, look up Operation Mockingbird and look up, who invented the word conspiracy theory. It was the CIA. Who created the CIA and for what reasons. Look those things up. I don't need to tell you. You need to critically think about it and do the homework yourself. And look at our past history and what's happening now. Are there similarities? There's a playbook that they're using. Who are these people? We don't really know. But it's been happening since the dawn of time. A long, long time. But our forefathers here in the USA figured this out. So that is why they created the Constitution and all the amendments and all the rights given to us Americans that all people of all of the world should have. And here's a quote from about our forefathers, and it says, "The blood of our forefathers was not shed for the Second Amendment. It was to gain independence from tyranny. The Second Amendment was so they would never have to do it again, and we would never have to do it again. But here we are, back again, giving our freedoms up just by believing passively what somebody else is telling us instead of doing the research. And we're here at the precipice again, as were our forefathers back then, to make a decision, to take back our freedoms, our liberties that are being taken away from us. Our freedom of speech, our Second Amendment rights, they're all being slowly, methodically, systematically being removed so that, somebody else can control us. So we can no longer be asleep and be the cattle that's being herded to slaughter, because the scary part about this, and I'm not saying it for fear, is that that's what's happening. And they're telling us, they're making it sound fictional, so it's like that'll never happen to us, but they are. And one of the best ways to look at it is some of these movies, um, Inception, and um, a lot of them, a lot of the movies actually have themes of what's being played out, and it's actually true when they're trying to make it seem fictional. One of the most important ones is the Avengers, and those two movies tell us everything we need to know about what's been planned, because if you know the story, Thanos wants genocide. He wants to depopulate the entire universe by 50% because he feels that it's overpopulated and there's not enough resources, right? So go do a little research into Bill Gates and what his fathers were doing with eugenics, and think about how a man who created Microsoft and then created um, an antivirus, right, to fight this computer virus, and all of a sudden now he's doing research into viruses and vaccines and curing things. But look at what their work is embodied before now. They were into eugenics, which is depopulation. And if you look at the inscription on the guide stones in Georgia, it says to depopulate the world by 500 million. That's or to 500 million. That is what they're looking to do, is to make Earth, only 500 million people that they can control as slaves. And I know this is different type of things that I'm talking about now compared to my spiritual aspect, but this is spiritual too, because they're trying to tell us that we don't have the capacity to think for ourselves about our health. Well, if you put the work in and you watch your diet, then this thing that's going around now that's most likely man-made and has no scientific proof behind it, although they're telling you it does, go on the websites. The websites tell you it's 99% curable, if you take care of your immune system. And that immunity, we have an immune system for a reason. We're meant to, get these germs and bacteria in our body so that our body can figure out how to heal us. Now, there are those people who are immune compromised, and I understand that, but you can still fix that, you know. And again, I hold a lot of compassion for everybody, because we're here because we've been brought to this by very specific plans. And again, you don't have to believe me. I encourage you to look these things up. It's critical thinking. I'm just asking you to think instead of taking face value of what's being told to you in the media and in social media and by your governments and by some of your religious leaders. Again, I'm not saying that they're lying. They may believe these things, but if they're not doing the research either, then we're all just being passive. We're being led to slaughter. John Adams said it best, liberty once lost is lost forever. Here's our opportunity not to lose our liberty and freedoms to whatever is being out there. I'm not saying that I know what is being projected. Somebody does know, and the truth will come out. But until then, we need to start taking our mind and our power back to think critically, to not just say, oh, they said this, so I have to do it. No, you don't. You don't. You need to think critically. You need to do some research, question it. You have to question. Because here's another quote: the human mind, once stretched by a new idea, never gets back to its original origins. This was Oliver Wendell Holmes. And the reason that's so significant is that 2020 gave us this unique opportunity to see through this veil and to start thinking for ourselves and question everything. And then, just with the fact that we're never going back to what was, because that was an illusion. Sitting in front of your television, for 5 or 6 hours is programming. This taught us, hey, go out in nature, learn for yourselves, to be be with your families. And they were trying to take that away from us. That should have been a clue for us to critically think. Does that make sense? Of course it doesn't make sense. But they're trying to project it to us. And they're trying to brainwash us, folks. And again, you can be spiritual and still know what's being projected out there. Because I know my truth, and I've done my research. My truth doesn't have to be your truth. But collectively, we should all be looking at and questioning our governments, our pharmaceutical companies, the banking system, religions. It all has to be looked at. We've been following blindly, and we've been, you know, led in that direction for a long time. And um, one of our greatest presidents, George Washington, said, "The time is now near at hand, which we must determine whether Americans are or be free man or slaves." That time is now, and he said this back in the 1700s, folks. So this is history repeating itself. It's time for us to realize that and put our critical thinking caps on so that we change that. So this history doesn't repeat itself, so that we take our sovereignty back. So we're not slaves to money, slaves to a job, slaves to government, slaves to religion, telling us what we can or cannot do, or what is good or what is bad. We can do that for ourselves. And we put these people in their positions. So it's time for us to take back those positions and get out there. And it's not with violence, it's not with arms, it's just with increasing our own levels of frequency and love, and be the light that we were meant to, and experience what we are meant to. Now, whether we think it's good or bad, doesn't matter. It's the experience. What are you doing with that experience, and how are you moving forward, and how are you helping your humankind? We're all humans and beautiful animals. We have to help each other, not separate from each other through race, gender, anything. You are who you are uniquely. And if you don't agree with that, with what anybody else believes, that's okay. Don't judge them, but they believe what they believe, and that's okay. We can all believe what we want to believe and be okay. We don't have to attack each other over it. We don't have to separate each other from it. That is part of this narrative. Are you seeing that clearly now? It's for lack of a better word, it's evil. But it's a negative frequency. And it's time for us to start raising our frequency. And that's the best way we can do this. It's by expressing with love and living our lives and not being slaves to anything or anybody. Listening, right? You can listen, but take what you listen to and process it. Don't just believe it. That's the way we're going to win. Our children are being indoctrinated in schools to learn these things. We need to say, that's not what I believe, and then take that power back, which a lot of people are doing now across the country. And that's where it starts, at your local school board meetings, at your local town council meetings, at your local county meetings. You need to get involved and start changing those things, and look at those laws. Some laws need to be changed. We need to change them. It's for the people. It's not the government telling us what to do. We decide how we want to live, right? And there's right and wrong, of course, but only we can determine that for ourselves. So I know this is a different topic, and it needs to be said. More people need to wake up. Just stop following blindly. But if you do listen to news outlets, and you do your own research and you still believe what they say, fantastic. There's no wrong about it. Just get out of your comfort levels. We're so comfortable right now. If 2020 did anything for you, it should have shaken you awake and out of your comfort levels. So, and JFK are probably one of our best presidents, in my humble opinion. Too often we enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought. And I'd like to leave this video there, because get uncomfortable, folks. And yeah, you say we've already been uncomfortable through this pandemic. Well, if you were following the herd and doing what you were told, then you weren't uncomfortable. If you were standing against it by critically thinking and doing your own research, then that's discomfort. Because what the veil that's been put over our face, if we lift it, you may not like what you see, because there's so many things that are hidden from us that are in plain sight if we do the research. Um, but like I said, with the Avengers, Thanos wanted to depopulate the world, and there was those very few critical thinkers, the Avengers, who stood against him. And at first, Thanos wiped out half the world, right, with that finger snap. And then, 5 years later, they time traveled and did all this. We don't need to go back in time. We need to do this now. We need to unsnap now. No, you're part of the solution. It's time not to stop being a part of the problem. And you can do it. Have faith in yourself. And there are more people like me waking up to the truth and that want to help people like you with love, no judgment, nothing else. None of that matters. It's all low frequency. So I am a transformational life coach, and I can help you, just give you direction on what materials may resonate with you. I don't know you, you don't know me, but if I can give you some resources that'll make sense to you so that you can start critical thinking and opening your mind and start making decisions from your heart and your soul rather than what's being projected to you and what you're asked to stay tuned to, man, your life will be so much better. And yeah, it's not easy work, but it's rewarding. So reward yourself, my friends. If you like the contents of this video, please share it. I encourage you to share it. Subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and like it. This is how we're going to change the world, folks. And you may not think that it needs to be changed, but once you lift the veil, you're going to see that there's some work that needs to be done, and you can be a part of it. So choose to be a part of it. Choose to be a critical thinker, just like our forefathers were, and many, many other people, and many people that are out here now. And be a leader, not a follower, because we can all be leaders of our own lives, for your life, for your family's life, for your friends. And we can all do this as one, together, united, because a person that I listen to, Jason Shurka, he says, divided we fall, united we fly. So let's fly together, my friends, and have an amazing day.